I'm very heavy because I've been working out since I was like 10 years old. I've been going to the gym since I was a child. I've been on diets since I was a child, but more than anything, I've been working out since I was a child. I recently lost 100 pounds over the last couple of years when I had gastric bypass. And I've kept like 95% of it off.
Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I know this stuff is not the best, but I'm making do with what I have while I'm on the East Coast. But today we're going to be talking about a video that has been brought to my attention by quite a few of you. We're going to be talking about Alexandra Rodriguez. Now, this video is pretty serious, and like the content that we're going to be talking about is pretty serious. So I just want to make that clear that I know that this is not something that people should take lightly, but we're going to be talking about pregnancy and dealing with miscarriages and, trying to deal with pregnancy, especially when you're a larger individual. There's definitely a lot more issues that can come about with that, and that's kind of what this video is about. And so if that's not something that you're interested in, obviously this is not going to be the video for you. But without further ado, let's get into the actual video. This is the video right here, and it is titled "Why I Had to Leave My OBGYN Office." And Alexandra is kind of just sharing her story as to why she decided to leave. So without further ado, let's just kind of let her share her experience.
All right, so I am just doing a little drive and talk. I don't know if I'm going to post this. Pardon this angle. This is the only way I can film in my car. And
I understand that.
And I'm driving around right now and kind of processing something that happened to me yesterday. And I'm still at this point not sure if I want to share this or not, because I don't know. I know there's going to be backlash, but I also feel like it's really important to talk about this. And over my, long time here on YouTube, I've always shared when these kinds of things have happened to me, when I have felt, discriminated against because of my size, or just treated differently, rather, maybe. And I just feel like it's something.
I think with this, there's going to be people that whenever someone talks about being discriminated against for their size, there's certain people that almost immediately write that off. It's like that doesn't happen ever. And I want to make it clear that it absolutely does happen, especially when we're talking about medical stuff. That is something that I have experienced myself, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have as well. It absolutely does happen. And so I want to make it clear that I am not going to just write off Alexandra completely because, no one discriminates against fat people. Absolutely, that happens, especially so in the medical, the medical arena.
To talk about, something important to talk about. So I am currently 10 and a half weeks pregnant. And
that's a huge deal, right? So she's made it very clear in a lot of her videos that she has been trying to get pregnant for a very long time. So this has been, this is a big deal for her. And so I can understand being excited, being nervous. I again, can understand how important this could be for her, right? I get that.
I'm going to the same OBGYN now for a couple of years. And I had a miscarriage with them last June, and I really love my practice, or I loved my practice. I won't be going there anymore. Yesterday I had my first appointment with a doctor because my 8-week appointment was just with the ultrasound tech. So this appointment I had yesterday was with my doctor, my first doctor appointment, going through everything that's coming up, kind of giving me the rundown, did a pelvic exam and all that. So I will say my original OB I loved so much, and I got notified about a month ago that she was leaving the practice, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. I love her. She was so amazing during my miscarriage last year. She was just extremely empathetic. I adored her with all my heart. So I was bummed because I was prepared to go through this pregnancy with her.
Understandable.
So I got assigned to a new person. I met with her yesterday, and unfortunately the vibe wasn't great from the beginning. I'm overly friendly. I want to connect with you. I want to connect with you. I want to feel a connection with you. This is a big deal for me. This is my first, it's my second pregnancy, but I don't have a child as of yet because I've only gotten pregnant once before and I miscarried. So this is all very new to me. It's very foreign. It's scary. there's a lot going on. And like I said, I've been at this practice for a while, and I was like, well, that's fine. Like, I'll go with any doctor there, because I haven't met anyone in that practice that's not like phenomenal. Even the people like at the reception desk, ultrasound, blood work, everyone there is just so sweet. So I meet with the doctor, Yarman.
And that's really important, right? Like finding someone and finding people that you trust. And especially when you're a bigger person, it can be really difficult. So I can understand, you know, being very excited and happy that you found this specific office that, you know, you seems to work really well with you.
Is with me, my husband, and we're in the room, and we're starting the process of talking about everything. And she says to me, you know, we have a BMI cap here, right? And I'm like, no one told me this. She's like, yeah, we put it into practice last summer, a BMI cap. And my heart like immediately just sank, because I'm like, first of all, I just didn't even know that this was like a thing at some practices. Already, BMI is such bullshit, and I'm so glad that doctors are starting to realize that, because health and weight are already not synonymous, but also...
So, yes, to an extent, right? So like BMI is definitely not a perfect tool. Very, very far from it, actually. Like if I calculate my BMI, I'm like 5'8", and I fluctuate between 215 pounds, 220 pounds. That's considered obese, right? And so I guess you could call me obese again. And so like, again, it's definitely not perfect, but I think like when we're looking, it's usually used where it works best is for people that, you know, don't have a lot of muscle. Like for me, obviously I have been working out for a very long time. There's a lot of muscle there. Even last time I went to the doctors, they noted that yes, his BMI is high, but they said, you know, he's someone that works out a lot. So it's, you know, most likely because of his muscle. It was like a little note that they put in there to just make it clear to anyone that might just be strictly looking at the numbers. They're not like, oh my God, this guy is, you know, he obviously needs to lose weight. They like put it in the notes that, you know, weight loss isn't something he needs to worry about. It's because he has muscle that his BMI is high. And so like, it's not the perfect thing, but again, it's just a tool that people use. I definitely do think that it's like having a BMI cap, definitely, if it's just strictly that, and that's all they look at, and there's no other factors, I think that's definitely not going to be, there's going to be a lot of flaws in that, basically.
I'm very heavy because I've been working out since I was like 10 years old. I've been going to the gym since I was a child. I've been on diets since I was a child, but more than anything, I've been working out since I was a child. I recently lost 100 pounds over the last couple pretty when I had gastric bypass. And I've kept like 95% of it off.
I mean, that's a pretty, you know, it's a pretty good number, right? Like being able to lose 100 pounds and if you kept 95% of that off, easy maths, right? That is 95 pounds off. So you've only gained 5 pounds back, which again, when it comes to weight loss and stuff, like staying at your lowest weight, I don't think is necessarily the goal for everybody. But I think that if you look at the comments of this video, they seem to kind of pick up on that, right? So like this is the top comment that I see is, please take this stuff seriously. It's not fair for your child that you want to refuse anything that would improve the chances of a healthy life. And then Alex, this particular doctor's office did not refer you elsewhere to be mean or to discriminate against you. They referred you to a different place because they do not have the capability to treat you safely. You have special needs that they do not provide for. It is not that complicated, and you don't need to look for ways to be offended by it. You cannot be this delusional. This is about your health and your baby. I can't believe she said she is heavy because she works out so much. I know BMI is not very accurate, but this sentence is the most delusional thing ever, right? So clearly, like the public sentiment is not on her side here, and I struggle with this one because I can understand her being frustrated, especially like them not telling her about this BMI limit. Like it seems like something that's pretty obvious that you should maybe bring up, but you know, I feel like the reaction, this is the issue where it's like I agree with a lot of the fat acceptance stuff, but like it seems like a lot of times it does kind of promote this kind of like, I can't believe they said that to me, instead of like, you know, maybe there's some truth here, and you know, this is something that I should look into, or, you know, I need to be careful here because clearly, like, maybe my weight might be an issue, which is sad, but like if that is the reality, that is the reality, right? And so instead of just getting mad and being like, I need to find someone else, maybe you do that, but also take into account what's being said here.
So I have a long history of struggling with weight, and I just hate BMI so much because I am very heavy, because I'm very muscular, like a high percentage of my, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fat in there too. I'm not saying I'm like not fat, but I have a lot of muscle and it makes me heavier, and with that it makes my BMI so much higher. And as someone who's worked out now for consistently over the last year, who's worked heavily on eating more balanced.
So working out consistently for a year is really not going to gain that much muscle, right? And so like, again, I can understand being frustrated, but like maybe this place really just doesn't have the capacity to work for you. So it does make sense to maybe go somewhere else. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Who's lost a significant amount of weight, who has like perfect blood work, perfect blood pressure. Like, I just hate BMI so much. I just think there are 1,000,001 other better ways to measure health. And it's honestly just another way to discriminate against fat people.
So I definitely think there are plenty of other ways, but again, it's like, it's not, I don't think that it should be the only way that places use, but it is, it is a valid thing. I just think that using it, that being the only thing, definitely is a problem for sure.
And show that society just wants to cater to a specific kind of person. So when she says this, my heart immediately drops, because I actually had just had a scare a couple days before with some bleeding, and I'm already going into this appointment very anxious, just dying to like make sure the baby still has a heartbeat, make sure everything looks okay. And this is like the first thing that's kind of dropped on me in my appointment, and I'm kind of just taken aback, and like I'm choking back tears immediately. Like, I am hormonal. Even if I wasn't hormonal, I'm choking back tears. Like, this is a lot of information to just be dropped on me when I'm already highly emotional, exhausted, scared shitless of losing my baby, etc. And she's like, yeah, we put it into practice last summer, but like there was no empathy behind it. It was like I was kind of expecting her to be like, I know it sucks, I'm sorry, like I don't agree with it. But she just kind of said it in like this tone that was just like, yeah, get out of luck. She's like, at least you're early in your pregnancy, so it won't be hard to switch. But I will say, you're only 10 pounds away from hitting that limit. Do you think you could only gain 10 pounds during your pregnancy? And I'm like, no. I mean, I haven't gained anything yet, but I'm only 10 and a half weeks. Like, I've got a long way to go. Do I feel comfortable? Like, I will hit the cap of the BMI limit if I gain 10 pounds. She's like, we can still care for you and have you in the practice until you gain the 10 pounds if you want to wait to switch, but I'm sure you want to switch sooner to get more comfortable with and build a relationship with your new doctor. And like, my mind is just swirling. It's swirling. And when she said, like, do you think you could only gain 10 pounds? I'm like, I'd have to lose weight at that point during my pregnancy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that realistically that's a realistic thing for her to do. I think like trying to, I'm sure pregnancy is very, obviously I have no experience, but I'm sure pregnancy is something that's very difficult to go through. I think it's been documented very well. It's something that's very difficult to go through. And so adding that extra pressure, I don't think would be a smart idea, right? And so I think that moving to someone that can better care for you is the right choice, objectively. But I do think it's important to look at like, why is this being said, and like really take into account why an office like this would have this type of rule and would really have this, kind of thing that they are, this rule that they have, right, with the BMI. Like, why is that? And I'm sure there's a reason, right? Like, I'm sure there's evidence and things that support, like, it's dangerous the bigger that you get. And I think that that's something that has been well documented. And it's really stressful, and it sucks that that is something that happens, but it's, at the end of the day, like, that's just reality. Like, and it sucks that that's the reality, but it is the reality, right?
Because between the baby and fluid and water weight, like, there's just no way. There's just no way. And I'm kind of just like, I'm kind of panicking at this point, because I'm like, well, where do I go? Because I don't know. I'm freaking out, honestly. I'm like, so where do I go? I just kind of blurted that out, and she's like, well, honestly, blank and blank, it's like another hospital arm, is the only one that's gonna take you, like that. And I'm like, now I don't even have a choice now. That's the only hospital that will take me without a BMI limit. And she said it's because the only reason is because it can be riskier with if I need anesthesia during the birth, which doesn't even ever always happen. You know, it's not. I don't know. I just think it's. Okay, just breathe. It just felt absolutely shocking, and like I told a few close friends about it, and they were just like, "What?" And they're thin. They were like, I didn't even know that was like a thing. Like, I would never even have to think that's a thing because of thin privilege. And like, you just don't even think that that is something that people would deal with. And it just made me feel, the way it was delivered, especially, like, it sucks enough. And I'm like, why did no one, don't you think when this was put into play last summer, like a notice should be sent out or something?
I definitely think that them letting people know would have been a good idea. I don't know exactly how they would have done that. Maybe just to email out to everybody, because maybe it wouldn't be smart to like email people that are maybe close to that BMI limit. Like, hey guys, this is for all the people that are close to the BMI limit. Just so you know, we're gonna implement this BMI limit, right? Like, that's maybe wouldn't be the smartest thing to do. So the video kind of goes on, and there's a lot more, but for the most part, like, that was the main thing that I wanted to share and wanted to talk about. Like with this, I really don't know exactly what the answer is, or what the right thing to do is, or you know, how I feel. I think that, you know, I can understand her frustration. I know that she's very excited about being pregnant. I know it's been a very long journey for her. But again, like, I also understand, like, a practice, if they have put that in place, there must be a reason for it. And so I can understand them, like, having that rule and letting her know as soon as possible. Maybe they could have done it a little bit nicer. I'm sure that that's usually always the case. It's kind of tough. Some people don't have the best, I guess, bedside manner, but I'm genuinely curious, like, what other people think, especially women, what you guys think. If you had, you know, previous experience, maybe being pregnant and maybe being overweight or clinically obese or whatever, right? Like, how was that for you? You know, just like what your experiences were, because I think this is a really interesting thing. You know, I talk a lot about, when it comes to like fat acceptance, one of the things that I really agree with is the whole, you know, like the being treated better when it comes to, you know, medical situations. But again, at the same time, I think that being treated better should not overtake the best care possible, right? Like, the best care possible should be the most important thing, and that's what medical providers should be focused on, not trying to not hurt someone's feelings. And I doubt that that's the goal that they had here. I don't really know. So I'm genuinely curious. What do y'all think? Down in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.